Coming up on this episode, the Warriors extend their preseason winning streak to 5 with a 111-97 victory over the Los Angeles Lakers in Las Vegas. I'll have all the major takeaways, including a brand new starting five that will certainly intrigue and excite fans heading into the regular season. Back to the Golden State with Mates podcast. Hope you're all having a good start to your week here after the Warriors got a 111-97 victory over the Los Angeles Lakers in Las Vegas on Tuesday. I keep having to remind myself that it's preseason, that I shouldn't be getting too up and about, but I think for all Warrior fans, we would have to be really impressed and really excited by what we've seen in preseason so far, and that certainly extended to this game today, where it was really probably the first semi-proper dress rehearsal from a Golden State perspective, where a lot of their key guys played 25, 30 minutes. Just looking through here, Steph played 28, even came back weirdly in the fourth quarter. I'm not sure why he necessarily came back in. Don't think they necessarily needed to risk it. Maybe it was because Brandon Pajemski and D'Anthony Melton were out for this one, so there was a bit of a lack of point guard play and ball handling and playmaking, so maybe that's why. Maybe they were trying to get him through his somewhat slight shooting struggle so far in preseason. He went 6 of 18 today, 3 of 11 from three-point range, 16 points. But Draymond, he also played 26 minutes. Trace Jackson-Davis played 26 minutes. So a lot of these key guys played, upwards of 25 minutes, but still definitely a team-orientated performance with production up and down the Warrior roster, which is really becoming the theme of this. And there's a few things that I want to get into in this episode based on today's game. But the first thing I was really thinking about during the game, and I tweeted it out, there's been all this talk throughout the offseason about the Warriors lacking a second scorer, going after Paul George, going after Lauri Markkanen, and not being able to get those guys and leaving a huge burden on Steph. Well, maybe at least throughout the regular season, the burden won't be as much as what we think it is. Because yes, we can say, the Warriors don't have a second 25-point per game scorer. But I'm looking at this roster, I'm looking at what we've seen so far during preseason. And yes, they might not have that guy that's going to average 25 plus. But think about the number of guys on this roster that are capable of going for 15 or 20 on any given night. And it can really come from so many different directions that maybe this is truly going to be like a reincarnation of strength in numbers, where there's not that genuine second star by any means, but there's just guys who can step up on any given night, who can take the scoring load, who Steve can lean on from game to game. It won't be the same guy every night, but we see Moses Moody again, team high 21 points. This is the third time in 5 preseason games that Moses has led the Warriors in scoring. How many, I'm thinking 7, 8 guys maybe on this roster who can all score, 15 points on any given night. I'm not saying they're all going to average 15 points, but that's what they can give you. We're talking about Steph. We're talking about D'Anthony Melton. We're talking about Wiggins. We're talking about JK. Pods could probably do it. Buddy Hield as well. That's 6. Moses is 7. So that's 7. And that's without including, depending on how defenses play the Warriors and what they're willing to give up. We see, Draymond's going to get his open looks from 3 or sometimes at the basket as well. Depending, again, on how they guard guys, like TJD is going to get some looks at the rim. Those guys are going to be capable of 10-plus points. You got guys like Kyle Anderson and GP2 today, both going for 10-plus points. We've seen what Lindy Waters III has done as a shooter when he comes in during preseason, albeit a bit quieter today, didn't shoot the ball as well. But my goodness, this is a genuine strength in numbers approach where the Warriors have 8 players in this game who score double digits or more. Absolutely unbelievable. That comes after 6 the other day against the Pistons. And it's quite incredible. And maybe we're not buying into that enough. Now, do I think it's a playoff recipe? Not necessarily, because come the playoffs, game slows down a bit of a half-court offense. I do think the Warriors do need that second go-to guy to take the burden off Steph a little bit. But for the regular season, I think this team is really, really capable of stacking a lot of wins up simply because of the number of options they've got at their disposal. We're going to get into the starting lineup here in a minute, but the bench was, again, the story. And this is going to be the case. This is going to be a theme for the Warriors, I think, throughout the regular season, is their bench, their depth is simply going to win them so many games because like, you look who's coming off the Laker bench, no disrespect, but like Max Christie, I like as a young player, not quite there yet. Jackson Hayes, Gabe Vincent, they're leaning a lot on Dalton Connect as a rookie. Those guys, they're just not the proven players that the Warriors have coming off the bench. Veterans like Buddy Hield, Kyle Anderson, Loon, GP2, like these are all guys who are proven in this league and are still able to play productive minutes. You're going to have Pods probably leading the second unit. Who knows? You could have D'Anthony Melton there as well. Like the Warriors are so deep. They outscored the Lakers in bench scoring 61-33. If you look at the plus minuses, like Buddy Hield plus 16, GP2 plus 13, plus 22 for Kyle Anderson. It's just the bench. The bench is winning the Warriors these games, and I think that's something that will also translate to the regular season, albeit obviously the starters are going to play a lot more, the opposing team starters are going to play a lot more. So that's maybe the one caveat you'd put on it. But still, I mean, just the contrast in talent and proven experience between the Warrior bench and the Laker bench today. I mean, that's just ultimately the difference in the game, even though the Lakers starters played okay. Anthony Davis was huge, 24 points, 12 rebound, double-double. But it's hard. It's hard when you've got this level of talent coming off the Warrior bench. It's hard to match that for opposing teams. And the Lakers won't be the only team to fall victim of that this season. Now, in terms of the starting lineup, I was excited. I was excited before the game even started because this is the lineup I've been wanting to see all offseason and the lineup that I wanted to see in this one because Brandon Podziemski was out and also D'Anthony Melton was out as well. And I'm so glad that Steve went to it just to try it out. It didn't dominate by any means, but I think they showed enough to, be worth persisting with moving forward. I thought it was a lineup that we'd probably see at some point throughout the game, but not necessarily starting. So it was Steph, Wiggs coming back his first game at the 2, Kuminga at the 3, Draymond at the 4, TJD at the 5. A huge lineup, like a really, really big athletic lineup. Now, we've talked all offseason about that potential lineup and the lack of shooting out there with having obviously Dre, a genuine big man, and Kuminga. I was actually, this lineup didn't really dominate, didn't get, beaten too badly either. I'm not sure what the 5-man lineup group was as a combination, but it would have been about 0 kind of thing. Like they didn't really win those minutes. They didn't really lose those minutes either. Just looking through the plus minus for those starters, Kuminga plus 4, Draymond minus 4, TJD plus 2, Wiggs plus 4, Curry, a team worse minus 9. So yeah, the minutes were okay. I actually liked what I saw, even though the results weren't necessarily there. I was pretty impressed in the first quarter with just the looks that unit was actually getting on offense, even despite the lack of spacing. The fact that JK was able to get to the rim on 3 separate occasions in the first 3.5, 4 minutes and finish at the rim, I thought was a real positive when you would have thought, okay, JK going to the rim when you've also got Dre and TJD out there, that could be a bit of an issue in terms of the spacing and the paint just being clogged up. I think they did a pretty good job, and we know Steph Curry at the end of the day, he himself could just annihilate any issues that come with spacing because there's going to be so many, the opposing defense is going to spend so much time putting energy and effort into him that maybe the issues in terms of the lack of spacing in the front court may be mitigated enough for this team to still be reasonable offensively. And then we know defensively, Wiggs was a bit slow to start today. I thought he got better as the game went on. I was actually encouraged by that performance. He had 11 points, 3 of 9 shooting, missed all 3 of his threes. Made all 5 of his free throws, which is encouraging because we know there's been some issues with Andrew Wiggins' free throw shooting over the past couple of seasons. I thought it was an encouraging performance from him. And overall, that starting lineup, I was again encouraged by the looks that they got on offense when that was always going to be the major concern. And defensively, they should be really good. They should be really good. Now, There's still issues with Kuminga, I think, defensively. I've kind of spoke about that throughout the entirety of the preseason. But again, perhaps those defensive concerns can be mitigated somewhat by having Draymond and TJD also there with him. I spoke earlier in previous episodes in this preseason about TJD and his ability to guard the really, really good bigs around the league. Like AD goes off for 24 and 12 in this one. In saying that, the Warriors out-rebounded the Lakers 55-50. They won points in the paint, 52-40. So they did actually control the interior pretty well. Draymond had a double-double, 10 points, 10 rebounds, 3 assists. TJD also had 10 rebounds, including 4 offensive. If you're going to play, if you're going to use that lineup, you've probably got to understand the shooting's going to come and go, but you need to make sure that basically every game, that lineup is really, really good to bordering on elite defensively and also be really, really strong on the boards, right? They are the two non-negotiables with that lineup. And then hopefully Wiggs can get his shooting back again, 0 of 3 today. We'll see. JK, 0 of 3 today as well from 3. I liked that he was able to be effective and still get to 11 points, 5 of 8 shooting with Draymond and TJD still out there. Again, encouraging. So it's a lineup that I want to see a lot more of moving forward. Now, it worked today because both Pods and Melton were out. The interesting thing is going to be when those guys are back, which I'm assuming will probably be for the final preseason game on Friday against the Lakers, which you would think will be a full dress rehearsal for ahead of the regular season opener next week against the Trailblazers. I'll be interested to see then what happens when if you've got Pods, Hield, and Melton all coming off the bench. Now we saw in this one, Buddy was kind of the 6th man. They'd pull Wiggs out and then have Buddy in that spot. Obviously, Pods is going to play a backup role to Steph. Melton's the one where we've all thought, okay, he'll be starting. I don't know if there's a way that they can configure the minutes to have this starting 5 with Wiggs, JK, Draymond, and TJD all together. There's a way they can work it out by having those guys together and also bringing those other 3 guys off the bench. I like it. I'm just not sure. I saw John Dickinson tweet before the game. It's like Steve's really, I'm paraphrasing here, but he basically tweeted something along the lines of Steve's really trying to wait before telling one of JK, Wiggs, or TJD, or more so TJD, Kuminga, Wiggs. I think that's the 3 I said initially. Anyway, that one of those guys is coming off the bench. I made a meal of that. But anyway, that one of those, like, he's trying to utilize those guys as much in a starting role before having to tell one of them that they're moving to the bench, which is absolutely true, I think. But I do think today showed that lineup can work together. And again, be particularly good defensively, be strong on the glass, and be sufficient offensively. Like, we're talking about a game today where, yes, there's going to be some burden on Steph, but they were pretty good offensively today, even without Steph, who shot 6 of 18, 3 of 11. The Warriors, the best thing I think about this roster right now, in terms of the depth, but also the versatility, we've talked all preseason about the 3-point shooting. We know they're going to get a heap up. They got 45 up again today, but they only made 14, 31.1%, and yet they win a game by 14. I think they're going to be far more than just a 3-point shooting team. Again, they won the points in the paint by 12. They out-rebounded the Lakers. Defensively, they're hoping to be elite. They're going to be able to win games in all different facets, rather than just hoping that they shoot 40+% from 3 every game in order to win. So I think that's the best thing we've seen about this roster so far is the depth. Maybe it becomes a curse at some point, and when it comes to regular season and some of these guys aren't going to be able to play. Like Moses has 21 points today in 19 minutes, 7 of 13 or 7 of 14 shooting, I think 5 of 8 from 3-point range. What happens come opening night against the Trailblazers? Pods is back, Melton's back. All the starters' minutes get bumped up. I mean, this guy's led the Warriors in scoring 3 out of 5 preseason games, and it still wouldn't surprise me if he plays less than 15 minutes in the regular season opener. Now, I think, as I said earlier in preseason, I think at this point he needs to be playing 20-plus minutes, but then who gets bumped out of that? Like, is it Wiggins still only playing, 20 minutes come the start of the regular season? Kuminga only played 20 minutes today. I'm not sure if that was a resting thing more than anything, given he's played, quite a bit throughout the preseason to date, but he kind of didn't come back after halfway through the third quarter, I think. I don't know. It's going to be so tough for Steve. And it's almost like missing Pods and Melton today, having an injury or two every game, as long as they're minor, as weird as it sounds, it might not be the worst thing, because it allows the injuries allow Steve, makes the decision for him, rather than having to bench a couple of guys. Like, I'll go through the players individually, but someone like GP2 today, like, I've been saying all preseason, like, he's probably like out of the rotation, shouldn't be in there, probably the 11th, 12th man, bring him in when an opposing guard's going off, and that's about it. But like, he has 10 points today, plus 13, like, he has 5 rebounds, a couple of offensive, 2 assists, a steal. Like, he's a good player. Like, he's a legit good player. The Warriors were a significantly better team when he was on the floor last season, albeit he was injured for half the season. Like, he's a legit good player, and I just wonder what Steve's going to do, because you got him, you got guys like Loon, Slow-Mo. Like, Slow-Mo's just a winner. I mean, he was plus 21 against the Pistons. He's plus 22 today, 10 points, made a couple of threes. The threes look pretty good. Like, I don't think he's going to shoot 22.9% again this season. You'd imagine he'd be up at mid-30s at least. 3 rebounds, a couple of assists. Buddy Hield doesn't play well today, shoots the ball poorly, 4 of 13, 2 of 9 from 3, still a plus 16. Like, yeah, I mean, there's just so much depth here that a minor injury or two here or there every game is not necessarily going to be the worst thing for the Warriors. And they showed that today. They were missing Pods and Melton, but did they really miss those guys? I mean, the bench didn't. And we assume that at least one of those guys will come off the bench, if not both, if Steve wants to continue with this starting lineup moving forward, which I think I would. I would like to see it. I think it's the highest upside group. Let's put it that way. The highest upside group for the Warriors, because if Wiggs and Kuminga can become consistent shooters, then I think you've got enough to be a good offense, and I think you can be elite defensively, elite on the glass. And you're allowing Kuminga the runway to try and become a star and give him the starting role that he wants and that, frankly, he deserves after what we saw the second half of last season. But it also allows another big next to Draymond, so as not to put the burden on him defensively, and allow him just like simply to be a better defender. We know he's better in that, what he calls a free safety role kind of thing, where he's roaming around defensively rather than having to go against the ADs and the huge other bigs around the league, and can just allow TJD to take that, which, as I said, there's going to be some concerns there about his ability to guard some of those guys. But I think over the course of a regular season, it's not necessarily going to be the closing lineup, because you might want some more shooting out there, and I think you'd probably take TJD out, let Draymond play as a small ball 5 to close maybe the first half, close games, depending on what's happening. And then, you can basically pick anyone off the bench that could come in and be that fifth guy. It could be Melton, it could be Hield, it could be Pods. You could go a bit bigger with Slow-Mo. You could... Moody, obviously. I mean, you'll keep forgetting about him, and I don't know how, given, again, I'll say it for the third time this preseason that he's led the Warriors in scoring. So it's hard. It's hard not to be excited about this Warrior group right now. Now, there's going to be times, I think, where the lack of a second star does become an issue. But I think during the regular season, as I said at the very start of the episode, the fact that there's so many guys here who can step up on a game-by-game basis and who can give you 15, 20 points. The last 2 games have had 6 guys give you 10-plus points and then 8 guys give you 10-plus points. It's going to be hard for teams to beat. It's going to be hard for teams to beat, particularly when they don't have to lean on the 3-point shot every game. They're going to, but they don't have to make 40+% to necessarily, win games. They've got other aspects. They've got some versatility there. Anything else from an individual standpoint? Not particularly. Just going through here. Kuminga, as I said before, I like the fact he was able to get to the rim still. We didn't really see that the other day against the Pistons, where he had 3 threes and then didn't really get to the rim at all. So I like the fact that the explosiveness was there a little bit. He beat AD a couple of times off the dribble for layups in those first few minutes. The fact he got 6 rebounds, passing was pretty good, 3 assists, just the 1 turnover, finding Steph on a couple of occasions, coming off screens. So he's really learnt that Warrior system to a point. Now, I don't think he's ever going to be, massively high IQ player that's going to be a seamless fit in the Golden State system. But I think that's there enough to combine with his just sheer talent. Sorry, the recording decided to cut out for no apparent reason. But on Kuminga, I think, there's enough know-how in the Warrior system now to combine with his supreme talent and athleticism to be a starting quality, really good NBA player. Draymond, I thought, was really good today. TJD, nice work on the glass, 3 assists, had that really nice pass to Draymond when two defenders went out at Steph and Draymond went to the rim and TJD found him. Wiggins, better for the run, no doubt, got better as the game went on. Steph, not a great performance, but the fact that the Warriors were able to win by 14 with a quiet Steph game. He had a couple of shots, obviously. Had the 3 after the D'Lo shimmy where he kind of got revenge immediately, so that was nice to see. But other than that, I kind of like the fact that he's been missing some shots in preseason, because it probably means that he'll be right around on it once the regular season rolls around. And then other guys I've spoken about off the bench. Buddy Hield, not a great shooting game. Still really big in plus minus. GP2, just solid. Loon as well. Slow-mo was excellent. And then Moses, again, kind of the story of the game. And he's doing more stuff than just hitting threes. Like, there's some movement shooting in there. There's some mid-range stuff. He's been able to get to the rim a few times. Like, I think Steve said in his press conference, he's just so much improved. It's probably the most confident he's looking out there. And that's going to be, a big point that I had on last episode. It might have been the one before that. I think these guys like Kuminga and Moody are playing with a level of confidence now that they haven't necessarily been able to have in their first 3 years, simply because of the uncertain role within the team. And I'm interested to see how that translates come the regular season, because it's easy to be confident now in preseason where you kind of know you're going to get decent run. You're going to play 20 plus minutes, which is what's been happening for Moses throughout the first 5 games. What happens in the regular season where there's a game where he only plays 10 minutes and then the next game it's like, I've got to play really well to get myself back in the mix here to be playing 20 plus minutes. That's where the confidence may come and go a little bit, and where you feel the need to force things a little bit to try and impress, and that kind of is to your detriment. I like the balance that he's found so far in being aggressive and not trying to force things and not trying to impress too much in trying to earn a solidified role. So Moses Moody, again, the storyline, but probably even more so just the starting lineup, which I really like. I hope that Steve persists with a little bit more. Final game against the Lakers, final preseason game against the Lakers on Friday at Chase Center. I'm not sure if I'll do another episode between now and then. If anything major comes up, if you guys have got some comments in the YouTube section, then please let me know and I might go through them before Friday's game against the Lakers. Other than that, if you haven't subscribed to the channel already, that would be greatly appreciated. You can follow me at POK252. That's POK252 on X/Twitter. And other than that, I'll see you on the next episode.